If you're someone who's built a large social media following, and let's just say you have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but you're tired of not having those followers translate into clients and dollars paid to you, then this is going to be the most important video that you're going to watch to show you exactly how to get those eyeballs to becoming raised hands and paying clients. My name is Sami Meibar, and over the past 4 years, I've helped coaches and consultants generate over $40 million in revenue to their businesses by following some simple steps. I've worked with people like Tony Robbins, Graziosi, Maxwell Finn, Ashton Hall, and today I'm going to break down exactly what are the things that they did that made them separate from everybody else to be able to get good clients. Now, quick caveat to this, you need to have real followers. I don't mean that you bought an account a bunch of years ago and you have 100,000 fake followers or 1,000,000 fake followers. I mean you have good quality followers who are actively engaged. Not a parked account that's been active 3 years ago and now you're bringing it back to life, an active account today. The first thing that we need to do is acknowledge that you were able to do something that a lot of people weren't able to do, to get eyeballs onto your content. Meaning you cracked the code on what the platforms reward. So a lot of people, what they do is they come to the platforms and they throw stuff around and they give up after a little while. Not you. You sat down and said, I'm going to keep pushing this, and you started building up an audience and you started creating some fan base. Now the fan base is great because if you're able to figure out how to get 100,000 followers or 1,000,000 followers, what you should do, and I'm going to explain to you exactly what that should translate into dollars later, is be able to get those people to be trained to, instead of just looking at your stuff, engage with your stuff and then raise their hand saying they want help. Now, the biggest mistake I see happen all the time is that people say, hey, if I have a following of, let's just say 1,000,000 people, all I need to do is sell a $20 item. Maybe it's a hat, maybe it's a t-shirt, maybe it's a book. And if a bunch of them convert, let's just say 20, 30, 40% buy my stuff, I'll be rich. I'll make so much money. And while in theory that makes sense, it's actually easier to sell a more expensive item to fewer people and generate a lot more wealth than it is to sell small, cheap products to the masses. So the very first thing that you need to do is to have something expensive to sell them. And when I say expensive, there's a reason for it. Most people love selling like a $47 course or a $27 course, and I think it's the worst idea ever. The reason being is because while yes, you can sell it to the masses, the problem is when people don't pay, they don't pay attention. So what ends up happening? They show up, they take your $27 training program or $47 service. They don't get results because they don't actually go through it. They don't implement it. And for that reason, they don't get results. And then they say that you were a bad coach, when in fact, they actually just didn't put in the work, the effort themselves. Instead, what you need to get really good at is saying, I'm going to charge a premium for my time, for my services, because then those people who will pay, they're going to pay attention. They're going to put into practice the stuff that you're telling them. They're going to actually make it actionable and start getting results. From that, they'll get results, they'll give you a testimonial, it'll get you more clients, and it keeps on going. At that level, it's a win-win-win for everyone. So if you don't have an expensive course or something that's at least $2,000, $3,000, this may not make sense for you, because I'm talking about how to generate a certain amount of money that makes it fun to actually do this versus chasing people for a $20 payment. Now, earlier I told you I was going to tell you the math of what this looks like. You should be converting 20% of your audience into dollars. Meaning, if you have 100,000 followers, you need to be generating at least $20,000 per month. If you have 1,000,000 followers, that should be $200,000 per month. That's just the standard what we found happening all the time. So if you've got a good quality audience, that's the numbers you should be expecting. Now, if you're wondering, how do I go from eyeballs to raised hands? It's actually pretty simple. You just ask. You've already trained your audience one way, which is to get eyeballs on your stuff. And I'm sure throughout the process, you've also trained them on how to be engaged so that they're able to say, they comment their favorite thing, or they respond to something on your questions in your DMs, or whatever it is, you've gotten them to be able to just engage with your content. Maybe they put fire emojis, or maybe they just like vote between A or B options, or maybe you run a poll. The main point is that you got them to engage, and the more eyeballs and engagement you get, the platforms actually love that, and they're just going to push more and more people to see your stuff. And so that's great. Now comes the next step. The next step is to do the ask. And the simple way to do this is saying, hey, I'm looking for 5 people to help train over the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, to help XXX. Now, the simple thing that you need to do is put up the ask, which is called the 5 guys post, which can be 5 girls if you're serving women in your space, or 5 women, or whatever it is, but 5 people that you're going to be serving. So the post goes, I'm looking to help 5 people over the next 90 days achieve an X result. Now that could be getting in shape, that could be starting their own new income business, starting a drop shipping company, getting out of debt, getting to the point where they have a better relationship with their spouse. Whatever you're selling, that's what you say. I'm looking for 5 people to help get to this goal within 90 days. If you're interested, write the word coach down below and I'll reach out. Now, what ends up happening is a bunch of people write that, and if you have 100 people reaching out, guess what? Not 100 people are going to be qualified. So what do? We want to qualify because we want to make sure we're working with the right people. So the very first step that you're going to do is get into the inbox and chat with them and say, hey, saw you reached out for help. What's not working for you? That's the first question you ask. What's not working for you? Then they're going to go ahead and tell you their pain points. Then you say, cool. What's the goal? What are you trying to get to? What are you trying to get to? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to get to a six-pack? Are you trying to start your own business? What's the goal? Great, they tell you that. Next comes, what have you tried doing to get to this goal before? So you want to find out what they've already tried, and they're going to give you some answers. The next question goes, have you ever worked with someone before? Or have you ever considered investing in a coach before? Now, the reason why we want to ask this is because we want to see if they're actually looking to come on as a paying client versus a tire kicker who's expecting this to be free. We want to make sure that it's clear that there is an investment. And then when they say, no, I've never worked with a coach before, the question goes, is it something that you're open to? And if they say yes, you're like, great. Where if it's something that you're open to, I'd love to jump on a bit of a longer call where I can dig in a little bit deeper to find out exactly where you're at, what's working, what's not working. If I can help, fantastic. I'll walk you through what it looks like to work together. If not, no hard feelings on my side. I'll still give you some tools and resources to figure this out on your own, and we'll part friends. Sound fair? Question mark. And of course, they're going to say it sounds fair. And then you book a call and you jump on that call. On that call, you're going to ask some more deeper questions. So you're going to ask the same stuff. What's the goal? What have you tried? What's not working for you? You're going to ask a couple more things like why now? Why is it so important for you to do this right now? How long has this been a problem for? But you want to dig at each level. You want to get them to express why they haven't solved this problem. What is the true goal? What happens if you don't hit those goals? So not because you don't know what they're going through, so that they can open up to themselves about the struggles that they're going through. We're not trying to do this as a I'm going to find out all the reasons why they want to do this, because one, it is important. People like to feel heard before you kind of go into something. That's the biggest problem that people do in sales, is they just stonewall and say, I already know what's wrong with you. The reason why we need to ask them is so they can hear themselves and open up about these problems. Once you go through this, then you're going to go ahead and tell them about your custom solution to help solve this problem. Typically, you want to find 3 main points that make your program a little bit more unique than everybody else's program. As a prime example of this, in the fitness space, what do you have? You've got track your calories, work out, and get some rest, right? Very standard stuff. But everyone knows this. If you tell someone, hey, track your calories, work out, get some rest, it doesn't sound exciting. So you need to sexy that up. So for example, one of the ones that we use is eat more, weigh less. And people hear that and they're like, what does that even mean? EMWL. And they're like, that sounds interesting. Never heard of it before. Yeah, it stands for eat more, weigh less. So the reason why we do this is because we want to go ahead and not starve you while you're working with us in the training program. We actually want to feed you so much and you're full, but you're eating the right nutrients so you don't even have cravings anymore. So when someone hears that, and let's just say it's personalized to them, they're like, that's exactly my problem. I'm always starving, I'm always hungry. So if you're going to feed me more, I'm going to weigh less, I'm in. And you keep going through all the 3 custom solutions to your program, your exact program, so that they can say, this is exactly it. This is a no-brainer. Let's work together. Now, if you've done all this right, when you do a price drop of $2,000, $3,000, even $7,000, it's not going to be that scary for them. Yes, you're going to have to hold their hand. Yes, you're going to have to make sure that, they take that leap of faith to do this. But end of the day, the only thing that person is waiting for is for you to say, I've got you. I'm in your corner. Most people have objections about doing something new because they're scared it's not going to work. But if you can confidently show them that you're in their corner and you're going to make sure they succeed, they're going to do it. If you've asked the right questions, they're going to want to solve this problem. Now, the great thing about this is you've just got your first paying client. Congrats, it's amazing. Now, they paid you, let's just say $3,000, $4,000. Great. You don't just take that and go put it and buy random things. You invest that back into your own business so you can generate more of these leads. That's the main thing that people mistake. Worked with clients who we made a $350,000 a month, and the first thing they did was buy 2 new cars. Not exactly the best move to make. Now, I've worked with other people who've made $100,000 in a month, and then that money, they just went and threw it right into ads, which is the right move to reinvest it back into the business so they can generate more money. And then the next month, instead of just making another 100, they made around 180, which is, not like a life-changing amount of money, but they now know that they can reinvest the money back into the business and generate even more money. Now, that's not the end of the process. You're going to want to document the progress that person has made. Let's just say they haven't started a business before and they start a business, showing how much income they were able to generate, what kind of sales they were able to make, or if they're trying to lose weight, the progress photos of what they look like before the program and after the program, just so you can say, hey, here's my case studies, my testimonials. Now, once you have this, surface is proof that you know what you're talking about, that you know what you're doing. Because it's one thing for you to be in shape, but it's another thing for you to be able to get other people to be in shape, because you can either do it yourself and you can teach, or you can just do it yourself and you don't know how to teach. And most people can do it, but they can't teach. So you having those testimonials, those case studies is proof of your work. We have a ton ourselves, and I'm always collecting more and more and more, because you can never have too many testimonials. When you can flood someone with all the proof of why you know what you're doing and all the people who got results, they stop being worried and they start jumping and taking that leap of faith to work with you. So the smartest thing you can do right now is going ahead and start training your audience to start raising their hands. Bring them up offers. Not just, hey, is there, for the next 5 people I can want to help them. If you can just say, hey, if you're looking to get, shredded by Christmas, or if you're looking to launch your first business by, end of February and actually start generating some real revenue, click down below and comment the word start so that people can start raising their hand. Once they engage, it goes into a conversation via text, via DMs, and then it moves into a live call where you pitch them your offer and you close them as a client. And of course, you deliver, fulfill, make sure, do everything in your power to get the results that they want. Once you've posted, then they've engaged, you get on a call so that you can go ahead and pitch them your service. And once you've done that, you want to start doing the exact cycle over and over and over again. And of course, throughout this whole process, you want to make sure that you put all your effort in fulfillment to guarantee that your clients get results. If you enjoyed this video, I just have one favor to ask you. Go ahead and go ahead and subscribe. Make sure that you go ahead and engage. Leave me a comment, because then I get to see some of the questions that you guys may have about how to do this process, and I'll happily answer myself. Click down below. I'll see you in the next video.